Peace, love, and light. I am Picasso Cognizance. This is Resolute Fathers. Make sure you like, subscribe, and tell a friend about Resolute Fathers. According to encyclopedia.com, historical overview of custody law. What constitutes the child's best interest has been marked by great ideological shifts. Until the mid-19th century, fathers were unequivocally favored in custody decisions and mothers had virtually no rights. Under English law, upon which U.S. law is based, children and their mothers were viewed as a man's property or chattel. Over the next 100 years, psychologists increasingly emphasized that mothers were biologically predisposed to be the better parent because they were more nurturing. The role of the father was viewed as an indirect one, as the provider for the mother-child relationship. As a result, the allocation of custody shifted from a complete right of fathers to a sweeping preference for mothers. This maternal preference was forfeited by the tender years doctrine, which held that children of tender years should be raised by their mothers. In the 1970s and 1980s, significant changes occurred. The courts moved away from the presumption that mothers are always the best parents and discarded the tender years doctrine because it was based solely on gender and was therefore unconstitutional. Perhaps the most prominent change was the shift to a preference for joint custody. A shift based on the presumption that it is important for children to have a continued relationship with both parents. I mean, this what should have happened anyways from the beginning of time. You know what I'm saying? And you see how when we allow them, to get into our business, they can pick and choose. Okay, this parent is the fit parent. This parent is the unfit parent. But that's why I say it's just best to keep them out of our business. Now, states differ in the extent to which they endorse joint custody. Some express a presumption in favor of joint custody. Under the Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction Act, judges are required to give full faith and credit to custody orders issued in other states and to enforce these decrees. Okay? Factors in determine the child's best interests. The majority is estimated as 90% of custody cases are settled according to parents' wishes. The court will accept whatever parents agree on. This process has been criticized because it does not necessarily ensure the child's best interest. Critics point out that this procedure may be especially harmful to children if violence exists in the family. Okay, the terms of the agreement may not necessarily be fair, but may be coerced and may prolong the child's exposure to violence. When parents cannot agree, the court ties to evaluate the best interest of the child, considering the following factors. Okay, the parent-child relationship. It has been recommended that young children be placed with their primary caregiver to minimize disruption for the child. Fathers have protested that this standard favors mothers. In response, supporters of this standard have suggested that it provides an incentive for fathers to be involved in their children's upbringing from the beginning. The wishes of the child, whether to consider the wishes of the child is controversial or varies from state to state. There is a concern that children may not know what is in their best interest and may even pick the worst parent just because he or she is more permissive. A further concern is that letting the child choose will induce guilt feelings in the child later on. Parents' mental and physical health. These should be relevant only if they affect child rearing. Courts may also consider the child's age and gender and any special needs the child may have. Lifestyle and conduct of parents. These factors are considered only if they affect the child. Okay, so it speaks about parents, substance abuse, child exposure to secondhand smoke. Courts have moved away from considering parents' sexual behavior unless it can be shown that a parent's activity activities have a negative impact on the child. If neither parent is fit to have custody of the child, the court may award custody to a third party, and that's the relatives or foster parents. Now, parents' ability to provide adequately for the child, courts take into account each parent's ability to provide such necessities as food, clothing, and medical care. Continuity with the primary caregiver, the other parent, and with home, schools, and community. To promote continuity, courts may favor the parent who is more likely to allow the non-residential parent access to the child. Critics point out that the best interest of the child standard is so imprecise that it promotes conflict between divorcing parents and judicial bias and arbitrariness in decision making. Judicial discretion entitles judges to consider all, some, or none of the factors, or they may weigh them according to their own personal views and values. Okay? This is what I'm talking about, family. The system, the judges, the lawyers, child support, they don't know nothing about you guys. All they want is the money. It's a big business. That's why we have to put these differences aside and take care of our own responsibility. We are adults. We are fit parents, right? You know what I'm saying? So, differences may come, we fuss, and, fight or whatever. But if it gets to the point of actually throwing down, okay, that's when you get them folks. But come on, y'all. The focus is the child's best interest. And for them to dictate or whatever, for the system to come in and whatever that they see fit or think, that is terrible. It's very, very terrible. And if you haven't got the book, family, make sure you get your copy of the book, Who's the Daddy? It is on Amazon. I'm telling you, good information. Also join Resolute Fathers Patreon if you want even more information on, how to write a affidavit, powerful affidavit, modification, that needs to be done, with the child support or whatnot. The list goes on, but make sure you get your copy of that book, Who's the Daddy? It is on Amazon. All right. Peace, love, and light.